Clowns are scary, and so are misspelled titles, making Killer Klowns from Outer Space a chilling tale. Imagine it. Clowns spelled with a K, an alien ship that looks like a circus tent that lands in the woods by Makeout Point, a place I've totally been to. Inside you find alien clowns trapping the townsfolk in cotton candy cocoons and drinking their gelatinized bodies through silly straws. This 1988 film left little mark when it released in theaters, mainly because it barely released at all before shuffling onto video. That's where it picked up an audience, on VHS and TV. That's how it became a cult classic, and even seeped its way into mainstream pop culture. The Clowns got a scare zone at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights in 2018 for their 30th anniversary, and their own maze the following year. There's even an asymmetrical survivor horror game based on the property from 2023. I have a feeling a lot of parkgoers had no idea the Clowns were from a 30-year-old movie. A lot were probably just scared of the clowns themselves, thanks to the timelessly horrifying designs by the Kyoto brothers, which is honestly a great description of the movie itself. It's all about the clowns, because everything else, the story, character performances, and dialogue are, well, they're what you'd expect from a sci-fi horror B-movie. What makes this B-movie special is the level of talent and creativity that went into the technical aspects. Stephen Charles and Edward Kyoto are talented effects artists. Outside this movie, you might have seen their work in Elf, where they supervised the stop-motion animation, or more recently, they did the stop-motion for Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. If Clowns were a typical B-movie, you'd walk out thinking the effects were lame and the concept underutilized. But here, every angle you can imagine, every clown trope you can think of, is rendered practically and filtered through horror for your viewing displeasure. If you have coulrophobia, the fear of clowns, now would be the time to turn this video off. Or keep watching. You are here to be scared, aren't you? The movie starts in 80s fashion with 80s fonts and an 80s theme song by the Dickies. Don't you miss theme songs that explain the entire plot of the movie? The song also sets the absurd comedic tone, which honestly the title already does on its own. Initially they were just going to call it Killer Klowns, but thought that made it sound too much like a slasher. So they added From Outer Space, which just tells you everything you need to know. Meet grizzled Officer Curtis Mooney, played to perfection by John Vernon. This is definitely the best performance in the movie, at least by a human character. No surprise, because the actor was asked to do something he'd done before and was good at. Play the authority figure, just like he did as the Dean in Animal House, Mayor in Dirty Harry, or Principal in Pinky, Elmira and the Brain, or Admiral in Pinky and the Brain. I miss the 90s. Also meet Bob McReed, played by Christopher Titus in his big screen debut. Remember that show Titus? I miss the 2000s. Bob makes his way to Makeout Point with a bag of beers. There, people are making out, drinking, and doing all sorts of disgusting things. When a giant clown shows up. But it's just the top of an ice cream truck, driven by the notorious Terenzi brothers, always pranking folks and just generally up to no good. They're based on the Kyoto's actual friends, the Terenzis. Many of the characters were not only named after real-life friends of theirs, but shaped after their personalities too, including the main character, Mike Tobacco. Tonight, the Terenzi brothers are trying to woo a couple of ladies.
You said we could have all the ice cream we wanted, but you didn't say anything about parking. What kind of girls do you think we are?
Damn, another bust for the Terenzi brothers. By the way, check out this girl on the left who keeps looking at the camera. The Kyotos chalked that up to local talent and said it was the best take they had. Honestly, part of the movie's charm is the DIY energy. It's easy to cut them slack when you know how scrappy a production it was. Having a better night than the Terenzi brothers, Mike Tobacco and Debbie Stone, presently kissing under the night sky, when suddenly that sky is brightened by the arrival of, what is it? Maybe Halley's Comet? That's what the local farmer surmises and figures if he gets there first, they'll be rich. He grabs a shovel and heads off. And as he walks out the door, check out the prop master who didn't manage to get out of the shot after handing off the shovel and lantern. Once Farmer is in the woods, the shot was filmed outside, but the circus tent is actually a matte painting. They first shot the woods with half the negative exposed, then they rewound the film and photographed the painting with the other half exposed, an old-fashioned way of splicing live action with artwork. When the farmer approaches the tent, we switch to an indoor set in a warehouse where they recreated some of the trees, then used boat sails with backlighting to create the illusion of a circus tent. Movie magic. After spotting that shooting star in the sky, Debbie wants to go check it out too. It'll be an adventure. So Mike agrees to put on pause whatever disgusting plans he had for them in the back of his vehicle on top of that raft. They head for the woods.
Okay.
None of this really matters, it's just setting up the structure. This is a riff on sci-fi horror of the 50s. Specifically, they had The Blob in mind, the original from the 50s, not the remake, which came out the same year as Clowns. Like Clowns, The Blob starts with a guy and gal spotting a shooting star while busy at Lover's Lane, a place I've totally been to. I forgot I already used that one. Farmer reaches the crash site and finds a circus tent.
I love the circus. Maybe we can get us some free passes.
You can tell the Kyoto brothers had a high opinion of small-town farmers. While Farmer looks for the ticket booth, a clown opens a hole in the tent and grabs the dog with a net. When the farmer notices his dog missing, he's upset. He punches the tent, but instead of fabric, his fist strikes something hard. He grabs the strings holding up the tent, but it's actually an electrified cable. Then it shows up, a freakish clown speaking an alien language. He points his ray gun and pulls the trigger. Look at that thing. The movie is obviously silly, but they genuinely made the clowns terrifying. They look like aliens doing their best to capture the clown aesthetic, but only getting kind of close. So instead, they look like monsters crammed into clown skin suits. And they're just technically impressive. Look at the details, the little movements in their smiles and blinks. To accomplish this, they had special puppet heads used for close-ups, which were controlled by cables. For wider shots, they used what they called walk-around heads, which were radio-controlled basically just for blinking. You also have to appreciate the individuality of the clowns. They all have their own unique look. Nowadays, you'll see they even have names. Jumbo, Shorty, Spiky, Slim, Fatso, and so on. I would love a Donkey Kong 64 style rap about these clowns. In the movie itself, they didn't have names other than pet names they used behind the scenes on set to keep track of things. But in the years since, they were given official names through merchandising. At the police station, Officer Mooney brings in a couple of punks who are boozing it up in the park. There we meet the far more cool-headed Officer Dave Hansen, who tries to calm him down. The kids were just walking back to their dorm with a bottle of wine. It's no big deal.
Oh, Kurt, come on, Kurt, now just take it easy.
You got a thing for these little boys?
The fascist cop versus the Boy Scout cop are more elements meant to capture the sort of stereotypes you'd see in the 50s movies that inspired this one. Mooney tosses the two degenerates into a cell. Time for us to check back in on Mike and Debbie. They find the circus tent too, and all of a sudden, things are a little too real for her. She wants to go back, but too late. Now Mike is into it. This looks neat. He wants to see what's going on in that circus tent. Inside, it's like any other circus. Weird hallways, tubes, revolving doors, electrified orbs. One way they saved on budget was by, instead of building a bunch of different sets, they made a bunch of parts that could be rearranged from one scene to another. So they were reusing the same equipment, but it looks like you're going from one room to another. That orb scene, by the way, is an homage to the underground Krell lab in 1956's The Forbidden Planet. Next, they find a room filled with cotton candy. Ah, Mike knows what this is.
This looks like a cotton candy factory to me. This must be where they hang it up to dry before they ship the stuff out.
Then he gets real shifty-eyed.
I've never seen anything like this before. Have you?
No.
It's like he has seen this before, but doesn't want to admit it. Have you seen something like this before? No? Anyway, this cotton candy is no ordinary cotton candy. These are cotton candy cocoons filled with dead people. They find the farmer in a partial state of liquefaction. Behind him is a smaller cocoon. I don't have the heart to tell you who's in that one. It's his dog, Pooh Bear, but I'm sure he's fine, don't worry. Once they spot one of the clowns, it all makes sense. This is no carnival. This is a spaceship piloted by aliens that happen to look like clowns. They make a break for it, running from a clown with a popcorn gun. They manage to get out, but not without a bunch of that popcorn on them. That gun, by the way, with only seconds of screen time, took $7,000 to build, mainly because they wanted to match the concept drawing exactly and make it actually functional. It really did shoot popcorn. But one of the lessons Charlie Chiodo took from the movie is that you don't have to slavishly follow your original designs. Often you can do something cheaper that still captures the same feeling you were trying to evoke, even if it doesn't match your original concept precisely. As Mike and Debbie run off, the clowns make a dog balloon animal to follow their scent, a great example of the cartoon gags this movie renders in live action. This is one of my favorite forms of comedy, doing something absurd with conviction and a straight face. On the commentary track, the Chiodo brothers talk about this explicitly. For the most part, they didn't write actual jokes into the movie. Instead, they tried to write a genuine 50s monster movie, which all the characters would take seriously. It just so happens the thing they're taking seriously is absurd. It's commitment to the bit, something people were good at in the 80s. Another great example is 85's Return of the Living Dead, where humor comes from taking talking zombies seriously. The balloon dog finds Mike and Debbie, but the humans get in their car and plow through the clowns. Another dog bites the dust. I mean, that dog from earlier is fine, I'm sure. It's only the balloon dog that pops. After the clowns get hit, one of them gets back up in the foreground, then turns to the one in the background, who slowly sits back up. That is the favorite shot of Stephen Chiodo, who took actual directing duties on the movie. I always thought the way he gets up in the background is an homage to Michael Myers after he gets stabbed in the eye. There's even a character named Mr. Myers in the movie who runs the pharmacy. Mike and Debbie drive back to town. It's then the clowns notice the sign, Crescent Cove, 5 miles. Perhaps this is when they get the idea to head into town themselves and find more fresh bodies to be cotton candified. Mike and Debbie get to the police station and share what they saw. Mooney is skeptical.
Killer Klowns from outer space. Holy shit.
Dave is a bit more willing to listen. Does that have something to do with the fact that he is Debbie's ex-boyfriend? Probably. Meanwhile, the clowns wreak havoc. One puts on a puppet show to lure a boy way too old to be amused by a puppet show before putting him in cotton candy. Another goes to the drugstore where he hides in plain sight by pretending to be a decoration. Why he had to trick the passerbys if he was going to cocoonify them all anyway, I think they're just having fun. Like the clowns who pretend to be pizza delivery boys before one pops out of the box with a ray gun. Dave takes Mike and Debbie in his cop car, but he won't put her in danger. It'll be up to the boys to investigate the alien clowns. He drops her off at home before heading off with Mike. When they arrive at the clearing, no circus tent. Guess Mike made it all up. Not sure how Dave explains the big mysterious hole in the ground where the tent used to be. In any case, he puts Mike in cuffs. Elsewhere in town, a biker gang messes with one of the clowns, a clown aptly named Shorty, until it punches one of their heads off. Hope Damien Leone is taking notes for Terrifier 4. At Big Top Burger, the big clown tries to lure a little girl outside. The movie attempts a serious moment here, where everything goes silent except for the score. Like, it's all fun and games until they go after a child. And this clown has something behind his back. Not the ray gun, a big toy hammer. So this doesn't even seem to be part of their cotton candy plot. This is just him having fun, I guess. But before the admittedly not very bright girl can get outside to the obviously menacing clown, her mother stops her. Next, Mike and Dave check out Makeout Point, but find everyone gone. And in their vehicles, cotton candy residue. Suddenly, Mike's story doesn't sound so crazy.
Bob McGreed? He was up here tonight with me and Debbie. Those are his glasses. He's dead.
Though Mooney still isn't buying any of it, despite the phone that won't stop ringing with townsfolk complaining about Killer Klowns folk. He even gets a call from Mr. Myers at the pharmacy where that clown is still causing problems, piling up a bunch of stuff on the counter I can only assume he has no plans on actually paying for, including Bugs Bunny vitamin C. I've always been more of a Flintstones vitamin guy myself. Elsewhere in town, a man driving down the road notices a strange driver nearby, one who looks like an alien clown. Perhaps even stranger, the clown's car is invisible. This scene was actually the impetus for the whole movie. Stephen Chiodo tried coming up with the scariest thing he could think of, and decided it was, quote, driving down a lonely mountain road in the middle of the night and having a car pass me by, only to realize there was a clown behind the steering wheel. According to his interview with SF Gate, his brothers egged him on. What if the car was invisible? What if he was floating there with a menacing grin? And what if he only looked like a clown but was actually an alien? This was also originally intended to be the opening of the film, and the character who gets driven off the road is Joe Lombardo, which would have made an earlier line make more sense, because Mike and Debbie actually find a second body on the ship. He identifies as Joe Lombardo.
Who, Debbie? Who's dead?
Joe Lombardo, he's dead.
The clown in the invisible car rams the other driver off the road, then laughs in Alien Clown. Back home, Debbie takes a shower. But first, some of that popcorn falls off her clothes and starts crawling around on the bathroom floor. Good thing I didn't see this movie as a kid. I had a food issue where if a particular food reminded me of anything weird, I couldn't eat it. Spaghetti reminded me of worms. Cereal was like small bugs. Cream cheese was the same color as skeletons. And if I'd seen this, popcorn would be out too. And I loved popcorn. At Big Top Burger, after failing to lure that little girl, the clown moves on to plan B. He sprinkles some popcorn into the dumpster. When a worker goes out to toss out the trash, he hears some chittering from that dumpster and opens it up only to get pulled in by whatever that popcorn has grown into. See, that's how you build tension. Now we know the living popcorn is dangerous. Some of it is in the bathroom with Debbie, so now we're worried about her, at least in theory. What about Mike and Dave? While they drive around, they spot one of the clowns near a crowd waiting for the bus. That clown makes some shadow puppets on the wall. Here's my favorite. One shadow takes the form of a T-Rex and swallows the crowd. You have to appreciate the sheer variety of clown gags in the movie. It'd be easy to get repetitive, just one cotton candy cocoon after another. But a movie like this lives or dies by the fun it can extract from the bizarre premise, by showing you things you've never thought of and never thought you'd see, especially not in live action. Living popcorn, killer shadow puppets, it's a 1-2 punch of insanity. After watching the clown shadow puppet a bunch of people into his bag, Dave tries to drive into him, but the clown jumps straight up into the air and seemingly disappears. It's then Dave is finally ready to call it in. He tells Mooney that it's all true. There are clowns and they are killing people. Nonsense. It's all pranks. They're all just trying to drive Mooney crazy until he leaves the force. Well, to that, he says this.
Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you! Over.
Ah, never change, Mooney. Also, this is directly inspired by the cop from The Blob.
I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force.
They're trying to break me down, see what makes me tick.
What to do now? Dave heads back to the station while Mike teams up with his buds, the Terenzi brothers. He'll use their ice cream truck's loudspeaker to warn people about the Killer Klowns, one of whom gets to the station before Dave, and pranks Mooney, who promptly places him under arrest and tosses him in a cell. That's when the clown reveals a party blower that unravels an additional arm, which he uses to grab Mooney and bang his head against the bars. By the time Dave arrives, the degenerates from earlier, the ones Mooney arrested for carrying a wine bottle, are cocooned. As for Mooney, The clown beats dead silence by 2 decades and turns him into a human dummy, puppeting him with its hand in his back.
Don't worry, Dave. All we want to do is kill you.
Independence Day actually did the same thing 8 years later.
What is it you want us to do?
It's pretty much the same dialogue too, but Clowns was there first. And remember what I said about variety? Party blower hands, human dummies? It can't get any better than that. Not to mention ventriloquist dummies might be even scarier than clowns, so combining the two is a masterclass in horror. Dave shoots the clown multiple times in the chest to no avail. Then he tries shooting it in the nose. That does the trick. The clown spins around, turns into a green crystal, and explodes. Dave calls in the state police. In the meantime, he needs to make sure Debbie is okay. Meanwhile, her boyfriend, Mike, is riding around with the Terenzi brothers when they come upon what looks like some sort of demented clown parade. The freaks are going around town collecting all the cocooned people with a big vacuum machine. The vacuum machine is basically a pickup truck with a painted wooden facade with a big tarp lit from within to create the appearance of the balloon. As for Debbie, she finally finishes up her shower and finds the popcorn kernels have transformed into baby clowns with long necks. But she manages to fight them off with hairspray, water, and good old-fashioned gumption. She runs to the front door and hears Mike behind it. No, it's a clown impersonating Mike's voice. She runs to the window, but they're waiting for her there too. No good. Finally, they corner her, trap her in a balloon, and carry her off. Why do some people get cocooned and others ballooned? I guess sometimes they want to keep the meat fresh. For now, we can only speculate until Ryan Gosling fills in the blanks. The real Mike arrives just in time to see them carry her off. Oh, you're wondering why I mentioned Ryan Gosling. He's apparently producing a reboot with Amazon MGM Studios, though this is one of those I'll have to see it to believe it headlines. Mike and the Terenzi brothers chase the clowns with their ice cream truck. You've got to love the image of a police car chasing an ice cream truck chasing a clown car. When they stop suddenly, Dave crashes into them, wrecking his car. Instead, he piles into the truck with them, and they continue on. Where to find the clowns? The amusement park, obviously, so they head that way. Though they aren't actual clowns, it seems by coincidence their alien culture and ship designs happen to match Earth's circus aesthetic. So maybe they look at the amusement park and think it's an alien outpost. Maybe it is an alien outpost. Maybe human clowns are in contact with the killer clowns as their conduits to Earth. Gosling, hope you're taking notes. At the amusement park, the clowns pie a security guard over and over until those pies melt his flesh, turning him into a pile of bones and confectionery. Mike, Dave, and the Terenzi brothers arrive shortly after them. As they make their way onto the ship, they have some pretty interesting conversation, speculating on the nature of the aliens. Maybe they aren't actually clowns, but some kind of animal from another world that just look like clowns. Maybe they are the ancient astronauts that came to Earth centuries ago, and our idea of clowns just comes from them. Maybe they're from a dying planet and came here for a new home. Or maybe they want humans for dissection and study. The theory I like.
They're just cruising through the galaxy and stopped here for a bite to eat.
Hopefully, Gosling leans into the weird ideas, investigating how the clowns tie into our ancient history and origin as a species. Like Prometheus, maybe forget that idea. Once you see smoke, they've transitioned from the park funhouse into the actual ship. As they make their way through it, the Terenzi brothers fall into a ball pit, where a couple of lady clowns are hanging out, and one of them inflates her balloons. Of course, in reality, the brothers simply fall to the floor, and back in the other shot, they're still lying there. They're off camera, so you can't see them, but when Mike turns around to look for them, he does kind of trip over one of them. Mike and Dave find the cotton candy room, now filled with cocoons, where they're forced to hide while a big clown drinks gelatinized human. This is the silly straw scene, and my personal introduction to this movie. I caught this part on TV sometime in the 90s, and was so intrigued by it. It gave me a reverence and nostalgia for the absurdity to be found in 80s horror comedy, though I didn't get around to actually watching the movie until a couple decades later. Once the clown leaves, they find the yellow balloon and pop it with a bullet, saving Debbie. They try to leave, but clowns are in pursuit. Dave kills a couple with bullets to the nose, but more follow. They run through the demented funhouse of a spaceship until they reach a door that leads to another door that leads to another door that leads to another door that leads to a room where they're surrounded by clowns. Until the Terenzi brothers crash through the wall in their ice cream truck. Through the loudspeaker, they order the clowns to stand down, and they listen. Why? Because the top of the ice cream truck is decorated to look like a big clown head. So they think the loudspeaker is a high clown official or something handing down orders. As the humans try to leave, an even bigger clown shows up, lowered from the ceiling, attached to strings. As the screenplay describes him, a 15-foot marionette monster clown, now officially known as Jojo the Clownzilla. The effect was achieved, much like Godzilla, by shooting him on a miniature set, then compositing that footage with the guys in the foreground. Note, by the way, the torn clothes and lipstick on the Terenzi brothers. Guess the ice cream gambit finally paid off, if you catch my meaning. It seems those female clowns took a liking to them. Unfortunately, Clownzilla doesn't feel the same way and tosses their truck across the room, exploding it in the process. Finally, Dave stays behind to distract Clownzilla while Mike and Debbie escape. Outside, they join the arriving state police and watch the circus tent take off. Seems the clowns are ready to head back home, except Dave, lifted up by Clownzilla's fist, done using a large hand they constructed for the close-up, and miniature mechanical Dave for the wide shot, he punctures the marionette's big red nose with the pointy end of his badge. That kills the clown, and for some reason also blows up their ship. But fear not. A clown car falls to Earth, and Dave gets out of it. He was able to take cover when the ship blew, and the Terenzi brothers are saved too. It turns out they hid in the freezer when their truck blew up. And I can only assume that's where Spielberg and Lucas got the idea for the opening to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So, is it over? Yes, except it's raining pies. Hopefully they aren't the flesh-melting kind, though I assume they are, because it would seem like a bad idea for the clowns to have both pies for eating and some for flesh-melting that look identical. You imagine they'd get mixed up all the time. So I think it's safe to assume the entire main cast dies after the credits roll. Anyway, no more clowning around, because that's the end of the movie. It's a fun time. I love how wild they go with the concept, leaving nothing on the table, finding every way they can to turn classic clown tropes into sinister alien machinations. Watching it all, you can't help but think, what a perfect vehicle for Ryan Gosling. Seriously, what a weird matchup. To be clear, they haven't said he's in it, just that he's producing, and he must have a thing for horror. He was also attached to the 2025 Wolfman remake before dropping out. So maybe Killer Klowns from Outer Space will fill the horror-shaped hole in his heart, as it's done for so many of us. On the DVD commentary recorded almost 25 years ago now, 13 years after the movie came out, the Kyoto brothers talk about wanting to do a sequel. They even mentioned one of their ideas. They'd reveal a clown's egg was left behind, then a sideshow of circus freaks would adopt the killer clown that hatches from it. Then when the clowns come back, the baby clown would have to decide whether to side with the humans that raised it or the clowns. I love the idea, and I think we are long past due for a comeback. Obviously, this is a different sort of movie. Some horror movies you experience as a story. You get invested in the characters, you want to know where the plot is going to go. Other horror movies are more like a haunted house ride. It's a series of weird or creepy scenarios realized viscerally enough. The sequences work regardless of the context around them. The story is just there as connective tissue. Then the question is just how creative, effective, and varied are those sequences? The creepy but fun mix this movie presents, especially in the early days of Scary Clowns, earns it a place in horror movie history. With that, have a good night, and remember, if you see a circus tent where it doesn't belong, or if you smell cotton candy and don't know why, call 911, you might be having a stroke.